Hey guys, and welcome to another Polymer clay tutorial. Today we are finally creating Dusty Divot from Fortnite. There is so much work ahead of us. I'm really excited about this tutorial, about all the creative clay stuff we are going to do in this tutorial. And you decided in one of the last polls that I should create Dusty Divot as the next location from Fortnite. I think it was right after my Tilted Towers tutorial. Yeah, this plate is too small. I think, well, we need a bigger underlay for oven hardening, so I start right away with this wooden plank, and I'm just drawing a tiny outline so that I know where to put all the clay. This is a lot of brown clay, and this will be the base layer for the filling for the inside area of the crater. So, make a thin layer of this brown clay, and I'm always using the printed map of Dusty Divot. It is not really high resolution, it is the one from Epic Games. I found it right away, I printed it out, and for most of the other reference pictures and images I used for this tutorial, well, I also googled them, but I also played the game on my Switch to get some really good images, but you will see that in a minute. For now, let's cut the real crater shape. So let's get it into shape, and we can start with the modeling tool, and this was really fun to create. Try to get this typical texture from a crater, from the inside. It really should look like as if the Earth was injured and it has moved a lot due to the comet, which has landed onto Dusty Divot. Yeah, I'm using some brighter brown clay in order to get an even greater texture, and I wasn't really sure what I was creating while creating. I just went crazy with the modeling tool, and I highly recommend that you do the same. So when you are creating organic forms or organic textures, don't think too much about it. Just start moving the modeling tool and it looks great in any way. And there's always the important part of coincidence, of accidents which are happening while creating and which make the creation really alive. Now that we finished creating with brown clay, we are switching over to a lot of green clay. And I didn't try to mix it too strong in order to have a nice green pattern inside. This will be all for the grass. So I tried to get the outline I just made with my ruler, and it fits almost perfectly. Take the scalpel or any knife and start to cut the clay to get the real shape. Of course, you can also create it a bit bigger or a tiny bit smaller, but I thought this would be the perfect part, the perfect shape to get even the two mountains, the crater and the depot, the destroyed depots, onto it. So this is why I went with this big shape. Now there is some even more clay right under the green clay in order to get the edges stick a bit to the air, and now you can fill in the crater we just created, and it already looks fascinating. You have seen this image on my Instagram account. I think I have never gotten so many likes on one of the images I ever posted, but somehow you liked the making of the crater, And it really looks interesting and amazing, all these patterns which appeared. Now some ochre, gray and brown gives us this color for the first mountain. I try to get the shape as near as the original one. This will be the second layer of this mountain, and I used my scissors to get really hard edges on the rock, on the stone part, and even some more texture work with a modeling tool. Now all we have to do is to cover it with green grass. So just put it on top, a very, very thin layer of green clay. It's really like painting. It really is. It's like painting an oilic painting, a scenery. So this will be the second mountain on the right side. Maybe you should create this one a bit higher. I think I failed while creating, because in the final version you see that I put a tree right next to it, and the tree is has almost the same height than this mountain. And this isn't as it is supposed to be in the real map. Yeah, some more brown clay in the middle, and this will be the part where all the containers and the laboratories will be. But first we will finish the crater first, of course. This is the way, and there are some bright spots right on this place in the middle, and I try to get this color by using brown and some ochre. Yeah. So now we also create these tiny damages to the landscape. These are also very, very tiny comets or parts from the bigger comet which just landed on the grass. And there are even some more spots in the backside of our tiny Dusty Divot map. Yeah. While creating, something really stupid happened to me. I started with the images as reference material, with the ones I found on Google, and you may think that these images were the correct ones, but they weren't. There was a new patch released, I think, at the beginning of June, and now there are even some trees inside the crater. And there's some changes also made to the buildings on the place in the middle. Yeah, this is my toothbrush I'm always using for some grass texture. Well, and so I missed all the new details, all the changes which were currently made to the map, but I decided afterwards that I would include all the changes, and this is why you don't see grass in the middle of the crater right now, but I will add it later after oven hardening, when I found out about it, when I was playing Fortnite on my Switch. Yeah. So this is some silver clay and some black and brown for all these tiny pieces of the comet. And it looks a bit like sprinkles all over the place. Very, very tiny ones. I think it were like 20, 25 of them. So very easy to create. Just pick a needle to place them. That's it. Now this is the broken depot and the broken street, and if you are using a knife or a scalpel, it even looks like as if the street was cracked open. Yeah, some more tiny pieces of brown clay, and we are ready to go into the oven. But meanwhile, we can already start creating the depot. So this will be the first building, the first part we will be focusing on. And it has this typical brick color. So I used this color without mixing. If you don't have this bricky color, you just take some red and brown and you get nearly the same color. So also the gray building, and if you want to go easy, you just cover it with a very thin layer of silver clay and you're done. But if you want to do the difficult way, I try to show you how to create even more details. You just cut the buildings into pieces to glue them, to assemble them after oven hardening. So this will be the roof, and we can even create the windows now that we decided to go the difficult way. And this will be the doors, the opening spots, and also the opening mechanism of the gate. And now the great pieces as well. The gray depot is even more destroyed, so just make sure to include all these tiny damages. I used some very thin wire to show some inside parts of the building. It really should look like as if the building was cracked open and was destroyed. And I think with not so much work, it looks really nice. So these are all the tiny containers which are falling out. This was a tiny truck which will be located right next to the depots. And now we will focus on the most difficult part, because there are so many things to think about, and not to forget all the tiny details like the helicopter, all the trucks, and also this part changed after the last update of Dusty Depot. I think the helicopter changed the direction it was pointing to. So this is the big guy, this is the comet, or at least the huge rock which is left of the huge comet, and we will place it right into the building. And I'm using this paper clip as a placeholder. And now it looks like the building before the update without the roof. But as I already told you, we will create the roof and the version which is in the game right now. Some more very thin wire for the spotlights. And I created 4 of them, but I'm not really sure about that, guys. I think only 3 of them are used, because the one right next to the helicopter was destroyed. But again, I'm not sure about that. Maybe you can leave it in the comments if you know if there are 3 or 4 spotlights. So now that the buildings are finished, we can focus on all the trees and go crazy again. That it looks nice. It's the same technique I used for all the buildings on the Tilted Towers tutorial. Yeah. So there are basically 2 types of trees. There are pine trees in 2 different colors, and also these leaf trees. Are they called leaf trees? Yeah. So again, the toothbrush to get a nice surface for all of these tiny trees, and some more details for the pine trees. And of course, we need some more of them. There are 3 huts, tiny huts, on my part of the Dusty Divot map. So don't forget to create these as well. And now some more trees. This is a bit darker color for one of the pine trees. This will be for the tree trunks. And this is the roof. The roof of the main building of the laboratory. Laboratory. Yeah, this is my switch. I used these images, so I tried to get as near as possible. I should have created this map way bigger. It would have been way more work, but it would have also been more accurate. So, this is the last working step, all the trees inside the crater, and we are ready to go into the oven. freshly baked part of the Dusty Divot map. And it worked pretty great to work on the wooden plank. Now I'm taking some acrylic color, 2 different kinds of green, some yellow and 2 types of brown to get the same color of the grass spots inside the crater, and just place it inside. Don't be too shy to paint with your brush. Again, there are some accidents happening and they look always great. Yeah. Now the fun part starts. We are assembling the depots. I'm starting with the one behind. I'm using my super glue for that. It's very fast drying. Be careful with this type of glue. I really hope there would be a different solution, to use a different clay, because it happened a lot that I glued my fingers together and it really hurts. So this is the second depot, just clipping away that it has almost the same height, but again this building is supposed to look really destroyed. It should really look like a mess, and this is why all the containers fall out of the depot, and we are gluing them into the crater as well. And I used this paper cutout to get the right position for all the buildings, and now we can glue all these pieces. After drawing, I decided to go with this pattern on the roof because it looks more typical like the real one. And we will glue the tiny crater, the tiny comet, sorry, inside this laboratory. So this is the pipe connection to one of the smaller buildings. And I'm also using the pen for the drawing on the roof and the 2 towers. And we can place the vehicles. There are different trucks. I think there are three trucks and 3 or 4 tiny cars. Maybe I also have forgotten one of the cars. I'm not sure about that. Yeah, but this is the most characteristic vehicle, which should be included, the helicopter. And I try to... It is broken after the update, so it is not too bad that it looks a bit destroyed. So this was the last piece of the building, and the last truck will be glued inside this area. And yeah, just removing the placeholder and gluing the roof onto the comet. Now placing the last truck on the way to the laboratory. And these will be the spotlights, and they have changed as well. First they were white, now they are red. Or maybe it is depending on the time of day. I'm not sure about that. Gluing them right into the corners, and it's always helpful to use a needle if you are working with a lot of wire. So it makes it way more easy to glue it into position. This was one of the most difficult parts. First I thought about creating these walls from clay, but then I thought it would be too thick and I went with paper. So these will be the walls, and we will glue them right where they should be as an outline for this aerial. And it already looks fascinating, and you're thinking about where to land. This is the broken ice truck. I didn't forget that one. And now we can start gluing all the trees onto our map. This will be the last working step of this tutorial. This is the biggest tree. Using a pen to hold it in position, and there's another truck in the backside and some more pine trees as well, and even some more ones on the hill. with a trunk as well. Yeah, I read a lot of these comments which said I really should create the whole map from Fortnite. I'm really sorry, I won't do that. It's just too much work. I don't think that I'm capable of doing this. But this will be not the last piece of map I will create. I'm really looking forward to the next season, and I think there will be some big changes to the map as well. And as soon as they are, or the new season is released, let me know in the comments. I'm always reading them so that I can react quite fast and create the next part of the map. Or even a new part of a new map, well, who knows. Some more tree trunks for the aerial inside the crater. This was also very tricky to create, because now, the last working step, we have to place all these tiny leaves, these tiny trees onto the trunks. And it already looks so fascinating, like a landscape from a model train. Placing the last tree, and guys, I guess finally, that's it, Dusty Divot! What a huge tutorial, what a huge creation. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Please let me know what you think and which location you would want to see next. Write it down in the comments. Now I can play not only with the Dusty Divot, but also tilted towers. Here you see the size comparison, which is just crazy. Dusty Divot is so huge! I guess that's it for today. Thanks a lot for watching. Take care, have a great weekend, and see you soon. Bye! I'm done. This was a lot of work.